Shalom. We're still preparing for the Torah portion for this week, and it's about the consecration of the priesthood, starting off with the symbolism of the menorah and referring to the construction of the menorah, which links the priesthood to the menorah. The menorah was linked to the Messiah last week and previously as well, and that basically tells us that the little Mashiachs are actually the priesthood, the kingdom of priests under the order of Melchizedek, and they are the ones like Gershon, Merari, and Kohath that need to do the work within the kingdom, within the household of Yahweh. We also saw two pregnant women. The one is the foolish one, who still long back for Baal, her previous husband. The other one let that husband die and embrace Yahweh. And the two camps are now in conflict. So we're going to look a bit more into that in this Torah portion. Now, what I want to get to before I start is just the value of gematria and numbers. Now, numbers or mathematics. Now, I realized this when I saw a documentary on the pyramids of Egypt, where the person said, who did the documentary, is that mathematics and ratios and numbers exceeds cultures and language. It's a language on its own that is timeless, and any culture can interpret that language from whatever background you're coming from. In the same way, the Torah is a book that's written in a specific language by people from a specific culture, and if you don't understand the culture, you can't understand the message clearly. But what Yahweh did, he placed a lot of symbolism within the Torah, and on top of that, he placed a lot of patterns within the Torah, and on top of that, all the patterns holographically linked to one another. You can see the small in the large, and you see the large in the small. So they harmonize and confirm one another all the time. And the other thing about Hebrew is, or the message or the language Yahweh uses, is cyclical. There's cycles that repeat, and those are the patterns. They're also referred to as prophecy or prophetic patterns. Now, on top of that, or underneath the surface and on a deeper level, you get the world of numbers, which basically give you a very condensed dictionary of words, a collection of words that relates to a specific word or to a specific topic, that give you words to think about in relation to what topic or what word you are studying. And that is to sort of guide your mind into thinking in a certain way. And that's the power of the gematria. It's not evil. It's not mysticism as such, but it does reveal the hidden things. But it's an attribute of the Hebrew language. It's not something an evil Kabbalist invented because they want to do magic. It's about the nature of Yahweh, the fingerprints of Yahweh in the language of mathematics and numbers. So this cycle within the Torah cycle, I'm focusing a bit more on that. And some people might find it a bit mind-numbing. Oh, it's too much, I can't really comprehend it, it's too much detail. So I already condensed the teachings down to try and do it within an hour, so there's not too much information in there, so people can actually grasp what I'm trying to say, because I've got a whole week to prepare and think upon these things, and then I present it in maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and that's a mind explosion. And I understand that people struggle to grasp these things in a very short period of time, which I have 5 days or 6 days to prepare for. So in taking that into account, I also want, for my own benefit, learn new things. So any foundational truth that's been laid in the past is something that I will stand upon, and then look at the word from that perspective. So those who haven't been on the journey might find it a bit hard to grasp things because they don't have the foundational truths that's been laid previously. But that will come around as you go through the Torah cycles. That's why we go through it every single year, is to build these foundational truths so you can stand upon them and see what's beyond, what is on the horizon, what is beyond the horizon, and see the brightness of Yahweh's image and his character. Now the reason I use the word brightness, because that's the translation for the word Zohar. Zohar means brightness, and it's actually an attribute of Yahweh. It's described in Ezekiel 8 verse 3 the first time, where it describes the appearance of, I think it was Yeshua appearing to Ezekiel, revealing the abominations of Israel to him. And that Zohar, that brightness, is what we aspire to, which the calling to high holiness is the outcome of. So we want to become bright, and to in the brightness of the image and the likeness of Mashiach, which is the word Zohar. So it's not evil, it's an attribute of Mashiach. So just see it as that. What I want to touch on this morning is just a quick little rundown on something we are going to look at this Sabbath, and that is the hidden message within Numbers 10, verse 35 and 36. The reason I'm saying it's a hidden message, because there are two inverted nuns, two letter nuns, that bracket in this passage of these two verses. And it says, whenever the ark rose up, Moses said, "Rise up, O Yahweh, and scatter your enemies before you, and those who hate you, may they flee before you." That's my own paraphrasing. And then it said, "Return, O Yahweh, to the multitudes of Israel." So, and that is the message, or the words Moses spoke whenever the ark went before or within the legions within Israel as they traveled. Now we're going to look at the framework of how they arranged themselves, or how Yahweh arranged them to travel through the wilderness. So what I can glean from this is that the Ark of the Covenant is a weapon, because it scatters the enemies, and those who hate him flee before him, because it contains his presence, and his presence is a weapon against darkness, because he is the brightness and the light itself. The original purest form of whiteness is the brightest light that you can't even look into. Now in the spiritual, I think that light shone very bright, and all the demonic forces and the enemies and all that, they fled before. And the humans who are stupid, who tried to oppose Israel, they didn't have a chance. So in the same way, we learn something about our spiritual warfare, is the presence of Yahweh within the midst. Now within the midst, I'll refer back to the word brightness, because the brightness is also the color gold, which is the color of the ark. And the ark housed the presence, and it also housed the testimony. Ark means place of testimony, the collection place of testimony, which was the two tablets with the 10 commandments, the rod of Aaron and the bowl of manna. Those are the things that testify of Yahweh. And if you have the things that testify of Yahweh in your midst, which is you obey the commandments, you've got the rod of Aaron. Aaron is the priest. If you have the authority of the priest, remember the rod of the king, rod of a priest is his authority sign. And if you take up the authority as the priesthood of Yahweh, and you have the Spirit, which is the manna, the supernatural food, the bread of life, the words that will come to you, just like Yahweh spoke to Moses, spoke to Aaron, he will speak to you as well through that bowl of manna, through that supernatural words that come down from heaven daily. Then the enemy has no chance. Then you become the weapon housing the presence of Yahweh, having the testimony of his presence within your life, within your fellowship, within your assembly. So that is the key to overcome the enemy as we walk through this life, through this wilderness, especially for the time that is to come, the dark time that we're going to travel through. And we need the brightness of his presence to enlighten us, so we can walk through this dark wilderness, enter through the Jordan, and the Jordan all the judgment will open up, not come near us. So that is my message to you today. I hope you find it insightful. We're going to dissect a lot of things. There's a lot of wisdom within these passages, specifically Numbers 10 verse 35 and 36. So we are going to look at that in detail within the world of numbers, the language of numbers. Looking forward to sharing that with you, and I hope you have a great day. Shalom.